You're listening to the official podcast of Bloodstock Open Air Festival. Bloodstock Radio.
Lost Yes, indeed. Welcome to Bloodstock Radio, the official podcast of the Bloodstock Open Air Festival. My name is Squatter, and this is podcast number 34, opening you up there with the first new music for more than 7 years from Dimmu Borgir. That was a track called Interdimensional Summit, and that's the first song they've released from their upcoming new full-length album Aeonian, which is due to be released on May the 4th via Nuclear Blast. I've seen a few mixed comments about that one online, but I know that a lot of you Bloodstockers are huge fans of the band, so I thought we'd give that one a go to open you up with. And I know that a lot of you are also huge Behemoth fans, and they are going to be releasing a new live DVD and Blu-ray on April the 4th. So later on, we're going to be hearing a newly released track from that. Plus, we've also got not one, but 2 interviews with bands who also have new material on the way, namely the Heretic Order and the legendary Mr. Michael Schenker of Michael Schenker Fest. We'll have one of those coming up shortly, and then later in the show, we'll also have our usual Metal to the Masses roundup, some music from one of the 4 bands that were recently announced for Bloodstock 2018, and we'll tell you when the next band announcement is going to be as well. So let's get cracking on all of that, and we start off with the Heretic Order, as yesterday they announced that they have signed up with Massacre Records, and it just so happens that I had a quick catch up with their lead singer Danny after a gig a short while ago. So let's have a listen to that, and we'll follow it up with our Metal to the Masses roundup. This is the Bloodstock Radio podcast, and you're very welcome to it.
Band Chat.
Okay, so this is Squatter on Bloodstock Radio. Next up, we're having a chat to Danny from the Heretic Order. How are you, sir?
How you doing, Paul? Good. We just came out of the stage, sweating like dogs, but amazing.
Yeah, great to see you guys again. I haven't seen you for quite a while, but 2017 has been a bit of a sort of quietish year for you, I suppose, gig-wise, because I remember when you first sort of came on the scene and that lot, I think I saw you probably about sort of 10 times like your first 20 gigs or something, but been a little bit quiet.
UK.
Yeah,
we've been busy in Europe.
Yeah,
we did in the summer. We did the tour with I Am Morbid, which is a David Vincent's Morbid Angel band.
Yeah,
we did the whole European tour.
Yeah,
and that took us it was in around June. We spent like a couple 2 weeks in Europe, France, Holland, Germany, the usual.
Yeah,
and then we started doing some festivals in Spain. Did some festivals in Europe as well.
Yeah, and
then in September we stopped and started recording the album. So now it's the new album is finished.
Yeah.
So we're like fishing, or you can say.
Yeah.
Looking for, let's see how we put it out, And next year, new album.
Yeah.
But we've been on their live front. It's not that I've gone away. But I cannot play UK only.
No. So I mean, but that's me though. I don't really look abroad. I'm just looking around here. I do get around a bit, but I don't go into Europe very often. So no, it's good to hear. How did it go down out there?
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, Europe is more propense to getting the classic metal thing, we are disciples of Sabbath and Merciful Fate and all that. Yeah. We're like a true kind of, I could say, metal sound. And Europe, it's received really well. Yeah. Like places like Germany, Spain, they like that retro kind of thing. Not that we are retro, I mean, we've got a new modern sound, but our influences are very old school, heavy metal, metal,
Yeah. So you mentioned the new album there then, so roughly what sort of timescales are you looking at that then? You got any sort of ideas when that's going to be about?
Yeah, well, we already doing the support of Piston in June in the UK. Hopefully we'll do some European dates, and it's going to be around May. That's our schedule. Yeah. But the business is a bit fickle now, so who knows, Yeah. But we will really going to try to put the album out for May. Yeah. That was our aim,
Yeah. And who have you done the album with? Did you do it over here, or was it back in Spain?
Yeah, well, it was in between two. I recorded all the stuff in England. Yeah. Will Maya, who done The Answer, and Breed 77, and Adrian Smith. He did one of his solo albums, and he's been recorded. So it's been produced by myself and him. Yeah. So we did drums and some rhythm guitars in Spain. Then I took all the vocals and all the leads and harmonies and all the bass in England. So we've been sending back and forth. So it's been like everywhere, like Carnival.
Yeah. Well, you are such a thought. I mean, I see you working on all sorts of things around London. You know the business. You've done pretty much everything within the business, right? So, how does that sort of work nowadays with you? Are you a bit of a control freak, or are you kind of, you're a bit more sort of lax with it now, or how does it go?
Well, with the Heretic, I don't know. Like at the minute, I'm like manager, agent, and I do everything really.
Yeah.
I even do the posters, and I taught myself how to do a Photoshop and that shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not a control freak, but like when somebody really wants to step up, he's gotta really step up.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like I am. It's not that I want to control freak, but like until we meet the right person that wants to take the band off and be as enthusiastic and as I am.
Yeah.
Then I'll give the reins.
I must admit, considering that I'm kind of vaguely in the music industry, I never really know what everyone does anyway. I never know what a manager does. You've got managers, booking agents, you've got PR, you've got, and then especially on the productions, production, mixing, mastering. I don't even know what all these terms are. I know nothing about them. So you're probably not talking to the right person about it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm like a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
But it's out of necessity. I know they will say jack of all trades, master of none, but I try my best.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that's the best way to be. Sometimes it's not the best way to be. You never know. But I'm sure.
Well, nowadays the industry changed a lot. 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Companies will give a band in advance, and then they will kind of nurture them. And get them up, pay their tours. Nowadays, it doesn't happen like that. Everybody knows it's cliche, but CDs don't sell as much, or albums, whatever you want to call it. So bands have got more hands-on, So it's a bit of you do your own thing.
Yeah,
and
cool.
But it helps in a way. But there comes a way that the companies will want to take control. But at the minute, that's I think metal is a bit more underground. Put it this way: in the 90s, at the end of the 90s, 2000, it's a bit more popular than what it is nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
We had the new metal, Korn, all these bands, Slipknot that came out. Lately, it hasn't been very good.
Cool. Well, hopefully we'll get it back up there again. We're at Bloodstock.
Life is like a wheel.
Yeah, well, we always try to push all the New Blood bands and that lot. We always try to push them up. So, that's where the New Blood stage at Bloodstock. That's where the headliners are coming from.
That's amazing, and I think people bit by bit the sales of vinyl
resurgence. Yeah.
Resurgence more than the fucking CD. So I think. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we shall see.
That's our future.
It's all cyclical. We shall see.
It's like life is like a wheel.
Yeah,
it'll come back.
Cool. Well, we look forward to hearing the album later on in the year, and hopefully seeing you out on the road sometime as well.
Awesome. Thanks to you, Paul.
Cool. Okay, so let's play out with a song then. Choose a song of your own, and we'll play it out.
It's gonna be the first one. Let's go for. You've probably Burn Which Burn. You've played that one before.
Oh yeah. I played that a few times. We can go for that if you want, or we can go for
a different one. Yeah.
Death Ride Blues. Should we go for?
Let's go for that.
Cool.
You believe in werewolves? Oh yeah.
Cheers, Danny. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
to the Masses update.
Hello Bloodstock Radio, this is Adam from Resident Events checking in with what's been happening at the Leicester Metal to the Masses so far. We kicked things off last week and saw the Surrealists and Septilith progress through, whilst last night we saw Dawn of Anubis and Seven Hells take their first steps towards the final uprising, and of course Bloodstock Festival itself. This coming Sunday we have Graves, Gallows High, Monochopsis and Supersonic Death Monkey, all at Duffy's Bar for the price of £4 English. Bargain.
Hello, it's Russ Custard for Bloodstock Radio, reporting against the Metal to the Masses in Manchester. We've got the winners from the Metal to the Masses Heat 2, which are Barbarian Hermit and God-Shaped Devil. We've got Luke and Adam from those bands here. How are you guys feeling?
Awesome. Yeah, relieved.
Luke, how was it on stage for you guys?
At first, because we've not played a gig for God knows how long, and we played a whole new set of songs that we've never played before to a new crowd, basically. So we were a bit apprehensive at the start, but once it started going, the ball started going, and we were loving it at the end, all the way through, basically.
So with the crowd, it was
the crowd reaction was great as well.
Adam, you were on first, so obviously that's a massive shoe to fill. How did that go?
Well, it was the huge pressure of going on first, but and as well that there was a bit of a technical hiccup with our set. My amp wasn't plugged in after the sound check because another band came and sound checked afterwards and didn't plug my amp back in, and I didn't realise until about 10 seconds into the first song, but we recovered well. I think we showed the professionalism category.
Yeah, I have to say, you really did nail that. It was part of the show, it was like, oh, it's not working. Now it is!
Yeah, once it started working, everything fell into place. Everybody in
proper
our band is
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So you through to the quarter.
I think it's
semi-final. You get straight to semi. Oh my goodness. I wish I could get straight to semi.
Got semi right now.
Any advice, either of you, for any bands that want to do it?
Just give it your everything when you're on stage. You've got half an hour.
Exactly. Just play to your heart's content. Just make sure you're enjoying it. If you're looking like you're enjoying it, then that gives off the vibe, and then everyone will love it, basically.
It's not just another gig where you turn up and play. You've got half an hour to give it every single beat you've got in you.
Yeah. Nice one. Luke from God-Shaped Devil and Adam from Barbarian Hermit. I'm Russ Custard, Bloodstock Radio.
Hey, this is Nick from Metal to the Masses Bristol. Heat 1 has passed, and 3 out of the 5 bands have progressed to the next stage. Congratulations to Pillar, Redshift and Valentus for going through. We look forward to seeing you all perform again in May. Our full respects to Hail Down and False Flags who didn't make it through. They both put on great performances and we'll be sure to keep an eye on them moving forwards. The next Metal to the Masses Bristol Heat is on Monday the 2nd of April. Again, 5 bands will compete for a chance to play Bloodstock Festival 2018. Those bands are Mithra, Proteus, Body Harvest, Aurelis and Panic Switch. Doors open at 6:30 and it's £5 entry at the Exchange in Bristol. See you in the pit.
This is Chris from Metal to the Masses Coventry. We've just had our first semi-final, which saw Opus Mortis and Straight for the Sun go through to our grand final. On March the 11th, we'll have Scattering Ashes, When the Wolf Comes Home, Pelusion and Seven battling it out for 2 more spots, with a special guest performance from Divine Chaos. Doors are at 6:30.
Metal to the Masses update.
Okay, so that's our Metal to the Masses roundup done for the week. Thank you to everyone who sent those in, and don't forget that we are always looking for more roving reporters to send in updates from the Metal to the Masses events that are taking place all around the UK and overseas, and we're always looking for contributors to the show as well. So if you would maybe like to get involved in either of those, then please do email. It is podcast@bloodstockfestival.com and we can take things from there. Okay, I'd also like to give a little shout out to the Coventry Metal to the Masses gang as well, as I popped in there on Sunday night for that first semi-final that was mentioned in the roundup, and not only were there 4 excellent bands playing, and not only was it very well attended, but it was also attended by Chris from Fat Angel, despite the fact that Angel had only just been released home after a hospital stay. So well done to him for the commitment to the Metal to the Masses cause, and of course we all wish Angel a speedy recovery as well. And I'd also like to say a big thank you to my good friend Danny from the Heretic Order for that chat. And I've got a slight update from what he said during that interview based on what they posted up yesterday. So the plan is for the new album to be released in June ahead of their tour with Piston, which starts on Saturday, June 23rd in Birmingham. Then it heads to Glasgow, Newcastle, Manchester, Sheffield and Southampton before finishing up at the O2 Academy in Islington in London on Friday, June 29th, so catch them then if you can. Okay, next up, we mentioned at the top of the show that Behemoth have a new live DVD and Blu-ray that is coming out on April 13th via Nuclear Blast. So let's hear a track from that. This is Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel, live, and we'll go straight from that into the interview with the legendary Michael Schenker.
And now on Bloodstock Radio. It's time to hear some new releases.
The big interview.
And next up on Bloodstock Radio, we are talking to the man, the legend that is Mr. Michael Schenker. Welcome to Bloodstock Radio, Michael. How are you doing?
Hi, fine, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So you have a new album called Resurrection coming out with Nuclear Blast on March the 2nd. And just reading about it, sounds like quite a concept you come up with. So can you just tell us a bit about that, please?
Yeah, basically the concept is, or my wish was, to perform the most, to make a record with the original singers from the 80s.
Okay.
But before it became making records, I have to step back a bit, because it started off with wanting to perform the most popular music of Michael Schenker with the original singers, and the era of Gary Barden, Graham Bonnet, and Robbie McCauley was the most suitable and doable, the 80s basically, and so
yeah.
I decided to contact them, and they were basically waiting. It was like it was right from the beginning. Everybody was happy doing it, and I put the musicians together, the obvious Chris Glenn and Ted McKenna and Steve Mann, who used to be connected to the Macaulay Schenker group, and so we started touring and did Sweden rock and all sorts of things, and then we ended up in Japan making a DVD, and then basically the world was able to see the potential of this lineup for the first time, rather than seeing it through the iPhone recorded YouTube clips, and so that had an impact around the world, and so record companies started to make offers, and so Nuclear Blast was the most attractive, had a very great reputation. It was a German-based company, and my representative is German, and so I wasn't really ready to take on the offer, because I was still, only with one leg in the machine. But I kind of, in 2008, when all of a sudden I wanted to be on stage, that was the beginning of being back with one leg in the scene. But the Michael Schenker Fest is such a bigger undertaking.
Yeah.
And eventually I realized that, this is the time now to go be back in there. When I was 23 years old, I left the scene. I tasted success to its fullest. I made the decision to continue on a smaller level and experiment with music, and deal with life. And I call those my middle years. And then, and now the Michael Schenker Fest. Being signed to Nuclear Blast is the being back full size, carry on where I left off with 23 years old, in 1978, and so, but with 4 singers, because Dougie White, from Temple of Rock, he kept calling me up. Hey, Michael, when we're making the next record, I said, Dougie, why don't you come to join us in the Michael Schenker Fest? And I explained to him, and so he doesn't need to sing, Armed and Ready anymore and stuff like that, so he can sing his own classics, lots of The Lost and Lonely and Vigilante Man, etc., etc. Plus, of course, we have plenty of new songs, and so now everything has become current, brand new songs with 4 singers, and the album was so much fun to make. And it's great to actually manage a couple of songs where everybody's singing together, and especially Warrior. It's a fantastic riff, and hearing everybody sharing a line, it's just very entertaining.
Yes, indeed it is. And I'm going to play Warrior at the end of this interview so that our listeners can check that out. But I'm just rewinding back a bit there. You mentioned having 4 singers involved on the album. Was that a difficult thing to manage? Because I would imagine that they'd all have their own favourites that they like to sing. So you might run the risk of them arguing over who sang what, or did you just tell them? Did you just say, okay, Gary, you get these 3 songs, Graham, you get these 2, and so on? How did you actually sort that out?
I was joking to Michael Foss, the co-producer, let's just send out the 12 songs and maybe everybody picks the one the other one doesn't pick. But I didn't really want to have it like 3 songs Dougie, 3 songs Gary. It would have been too clinical, I wanted to have some kind of, mixing it up.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking 3 songs, but we managed with 2 songs. Warrior was one of them. It was second song I got, out of my bag. That was the music. And overnight, Michael Voss wrote lyrics and a melody to that music I wrote, and it became Warrior. I said, Michael, this is amazing. This is fantastic for the band, for the singers to share. And I was so glad that it happened right in the beginning because, it gave us plenty of time to get this song ready for a release as a single. And then the same thing happened with Last Supper. Also, Michael Voss, he came up with the lyrics. He is an MSG specialist, by the way.
Oh, okay.
He is a Michael Schenker fan. He is a Gary Barden fan. He is a Graham Bonnet fan. He is a Robin McCauley fan. He is basically an MSG fan. He's an 80s fan, and so he really, really studied. And when I record with Michael Voss, he can read my mind basically, and that's why it works well together.
Yeah.
And that's why he was capable of writing, these 2 songs where everybody sings together and make every line that was sung, fit, suitable for the person. And then, of course, Michael also, helped Graham, who maybe thought we had 2 years to record because that was the one in the beginning. Nuclear Blast said, well, don't worry, take your time, and so on.
Yeah.
But then I said, well, we have a tour coming out, 6th of March 2018. Would be nice to have an album out before then. And so let's make a schedule. And so we did. And they came up with the idea that the album should be done by November. We started in June. And so we had plenty of time. But now we were able to put it into, make it step-by-step progress. And, so basically we ended up, eventually Robin came, I take these 2 songs, and Doogie wanted 5 songs. I said, Doogie can only have 3 songs. We have 4, we have got 4 singers. And so, step by step, then the album cover started to take shape. I wanted to call it Michael Schenker Fest in the Studio, with like having a feast with a control room in the background. But everything changed by the moment when Doogie comes up with "Take Me to the Church." And I said, Doogie, where did you come up with these ideas? And it was like, then all of a sudden I get Michael Voss writing Last Supper. The art department started to put together, like this picture with a table. But it looked like the Last Supper of Jesus Christ, And it went like, Where are we going with this? I was asking, does it still fit Michael Schenker Fest in the Studio? And so, and the answer was, well, if there's a better name, we change it, And so I started thinking about my life and what else could we call this album?
Yeah.
And so I realized that I left the scene. It's a bit like, you're gone. You're dead or something like that. And I'm back with both feet, with both legs. And so it's like a resurrection, I left and I came back. And so the same with the band and the singers. But who would have thought that I come back with 4 singers, I mean, it's a pretty incredible development and out of nowhere. And so this is remarkable, basically.
Yeah, it really does sound like it was a remarkable project. And with you all presumably being remote from each other as well, what was the actual recording process like? Was that all done remotely, or did you all manage to get together in one studio to do that? Or
we finished Warrior in Stuttgart, and that song was complete, the first one complete. That where I was very happy that we were able to get that ready first. And then I did all my guitars in Graven, Michael Voss's studio.
Okay.
We did Gary's vocals in Michael Voss's studio. We did all of Doogie's vocals in Michael Voss's studio. We did the drums in a studio near Graven, which is near Münster. And for drum sound, we pick a special studio. Then we went to Stuttgart. We did a lot of Robin's vocals there. We did a lot of Graham's vocals there. And we did actually some bass, there, drums, and then it was like whatever wasn't done in those 3 studios, Michael Voss went over to Los Angeles, where Robin and Graham live, and finished it off there. But it's like I said in the beginning, we had like maybe 2 years to make a record. I mean, nobody actually mentioned any number, but because you are so into it and focused, I wasn't even sure if actually that message went all the way to Graham, that we are actually finishing the album in November, you know.
All right.
But Michael Voss, who studied MSG, and he kind of, just in case, you know, I write something for Graham, and it was remarkable because that was just a B plan, and Graham's manager called up and said, like, well, do you have any other songs, anything fast and stuff like this? And then, you know, we kind of presented those 2 songs that Michael Voss wrote. You know, I did the music, he did the lyrics and the melodies, you know, custom tailored to Graham Bonnet, you know, knowing him very well.
Yeah.
And Graham was so impressed. He was like, wow, this is fantastic. And when I listened to Graham singing the ad-libs on the end of Night Moods, it's just incredible. And the chorus itself is fantastic. And the verses, like the old Graham, you know, it just came across like really powerful.
Yeah.
And then Everest, you know, which has it's the fastest song. So there you go. They were looking for a fast song. They got the fastest one, Everest.
Yeah.
And then the vocal tracks over it, like, you know, this samurai style of Graham Bonnet. And it was just perfect, and it worked out really, really good. So
it sounds like it kind of worked out and the right people got the right songs then, yeah?
Everybody was happy with what they picked. And, you know, you can't make a master plan like this. You just have to let things just do its own work. You know, everything fell into place. And then we combined different background vocals. You know, I was singing with Gary and Durgit, and goes away, and Robin was singing something with Graham, and so we had a different combination of background vocals as well. So it became everybody was involved with everybody at the end of the day. Plus we have, you know, a couple of songs of each where they sing their own song. It worked out really good.
Yeah, that's really great that it worked out so well. And I saw that you also managed to get Kirk Hammett involved as well. So how did that come about?
Well, you know, the thing is this. It's like Kirk Hammett. You know, I used to live with Peter Mensch, who used to manage AC/DC at the time.
Yeah.
And then he did Def Leppard and then Metallica. And when I was touring with Robin, we did, you know, we toured with Def Leppard. And that's when Peter Mensch told me that I am Kirk's Santa Claus. And wow, you know, he's a fan of yours, you know. A big fan. And so I remember meeting him the first time, 97. We got offered to be part of a front cover of a guitar magazine in America, the 10 most influential guitarists of all time. And so Kirk was part of that.
Yeah.
But we never talked to each other. And I didn't really know that then. And but, you know, it's just like it's a different generation. And he was shy to talk about it. I can understand. I wouldn't just like that talk to Jeff Beck either, you know. It's a different generation. There's a wall between that. But Kirk always wanted to do something. And so Eddie Trunk from that metal show and the management of Kirk and Kirk himself, I think they set something up. Eddie Trunk was helping to set something up for Kirk. So they set up a jam on TV in New York.
Okay.
And an interview. And so that was really, for the first time, we kind of talked to each other, and it was actually a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
Then basically a few days later, we played somewhere near San Francisco, and Kirk came down and jammed with us, and so he just, you know, he became a friend, you know, eventually, and so, you know, a fan, a friend, and he plays in the biggest band in the world. I said, Kirk, what do you think? You want to do it? Yes. And so, but Kirk wanted to record this in Hawaii in his own studio, and the management supported that. And they actually paid for Michael Voss's flight over to Hawaii. And they sent me pictures of, you know, Kirk, like he in his casual outfit living in Hawaii with his baseball hat and the biggest smile in his face you can imagine. He looked like a 20-year-old teenager. It was unbelievable. So everything worked out fantastic.
Yeah, you can tell just from the passion and the animation in your voice that it must have been a really fantastic project to work on. And you've been in business for such a long, long time now. And Bloodstock and me personally have a really big focus on up-and-coming bands. So you're a really great example to them. So how did you get that passion going for such a long career?
Well, first of all, when I was 17, I stopped listening to music and I stopped copying people, you know. And that was basically a very important move because my focus is on is to focus on pure self-expression.
Okay.
The art of lead guitar with pure self-expression. And I decided not to consume because it would influence my brain. We would be counterproductive.
Okay.
So I just basically focused on, I realized that there's something very unique within myself, like it is for every other person. So if I make this, rather than using something that is already being recycled externally, I thought maybe there's something inside of me. I hear things a certain way, and I want to express that, So I felt that was important to do, and I did this for 43 years now. And so after, a while, it just, the byproduct of it was to create your own style, and by not listening to you have to remember I had my middle years when everybody made their platinum albums, all the ones that I influenced. So I always say I've got more platinum albums than anybody because I'm hanging on everybody's wall,
Yeah.
And but I never expected anything. I never wanted to be famous. I just had fun playing guitar. So I always say my first part of my life, I made my unconscious musical contribution to the world that had an impact on many generations and influenced many guitarists. And so my middle years, I tasted enough of that fame and success that I kind of thought it's great, but it's not necessary for me to have. But I would rather really experiment with music and keep going on that level and focus on life. And so basically I kind of dropped out in the middle years, but it was the most rewarding time. It made me who I am today. So without that, in 2008, all of a sudden I wanted to be on stage.
Okay.
Where is that coming from? I was stage fright all of my life. How can that all of a sudden drop off me, And so I was so happy when that happened.
Yeah.
And so basically I have been preserved.
Yeah, so that makes sense, really. So you're saying that you think that break maybe helped to preserve that passion, because you said you had a break from when was it, 1991?
Actually, 92, I dropped out completely until 2005.
Okay.
And that's the lost years of Michael Schenker, when I didn't do any interviews or nothing. So there was a period when I was actually completely just built a recording studio and had fun and was doing things and learned a lot about life and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But that was so important and the most rewarding time in order to be where I am today. I started off as a shy, fragile, unstable person, and I turned into complete opposite, And so this is the time, This is why Nuclear Blast, and this is why Michael Schenker Fest, and it's celebration time. It's the third stage of my life, and I'm so glad I did make that move.
Yeah.
And putting both feet into the machine and doing that, proper. And I can carry on now where I stopped when I was 23 in 1978 at the end of Strangers in the Night with UFO and helping the Scorpions open the doors for America so that Rudolph, was able to do his thing with Klaus and everything. And so now I can, kind of continue where I left off in 78 and take it to the next level, And like I said before, who knows, maybe the ultimate Michael Schenker Fest with, Klaus singing and Phil Mogg singing some UFO songs, Nothing is impossible, but at the same time, you can dream. It doesn't mean it has to happen.
Yes, indeed you can. Well, I think that's a nice sentiment for us to wrap up on. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here on Bloodstock Radio, and I wish you all the very best with that new album.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that was the awesome Michael Schenker there telling us all about his upcoming album Resurrection, which is out on March the 2nd. And here's that track we mentioned during the interview. This is Warrior, right here on Bloodstock Radio.
You were born into this world to believe in mankind's destiny. Marching on the path of glory, when misery is all you see. All you need lies in your faith, and until you die.
This is Josh.
This is Morgan.
This is Giacomo. And you're listening to Bloodstock Radio. And we're from Bloodstock Dawn. Right, do it again. We're Bloodstock Dawn. I'm Josh.
I'm Morgan.
I'm Giacomo. And you're listening to Bloodstock Radio.
Yes, indeed, the fantastic Michael Schenker there, and that album Resurrection is out tomorrow. That is Friday, March 2nd on Nuclear Blast Records. Absolutely love that guy's passion for music, and I genuinely really do hope that this project is very successful indeed. Okay, we are nearing the end of the show now, but I just wanted to update you on a few other things very quickly. I mentioned earlier in the show that I was over in Coventry at the weekend. Well, I spent quite a lot of time with my friend Topher, who some of you may know as the guitarist from Getica, who have played Bloodstock a couple of times. But he is also my video guy for our Bloodstock TV band interviews that we do at the festival. And we spent all this weekend working on editing some more of our interviews from Bloodstock 2017, so keep an eye out for them. There are lots that are already out there, like Megadeth, Hatebreed, Decapitated, Possessed, and quite a few others. And you can check them all out on Bloodstock's official YouTube channel, Bloodstock Festivals, and we are in the band interviews playlist. And for those of you who want to keep up to date with all things Bloodstock TV and Bloodstock Radio, I'm currently in the process of moving all of that over to my Facebook page, The Squatter Spot, rather than doing it all through my personal account, so please do check that out as well. Okay, to finish off the show, we are going to play you some Ailstorm, as they were recently announced as playing at Bloodstock 2018, along with Farron, Pallbearer and Doomsday Outlaw. And I can also tell you that our next band announcement is going to be on March the 15th, so keep an eye out for that. But we're going to finish off the show with the band Ailstorm and a song called Ailstorm from last year's album No Grave But the Sea. And I have to say, after seeing Ailstorm live a couple of weeks ago, I think we're going to be in for a real treat. And if any of you out there are listening at the moment happens to be a trader that is going to have a stall at Bloodstock, I'd maybe suggest stocking up on a few extra pirate hats if I were you. Okay, I'm going to weigh anchor and set sail into the sunset and leave you in the probably pretty incapable hands of Ailstorm. And we'll see you next time on Bloodstock Radio. Yarr!
Band announcements.
Coming, the cold is mine, numbing diagnosis is sending. Die, there's no escaping. We're all anticipating, smashing your brains tonight. You hate, firing the cat.
By the fans, for the fans. Bloodstock Radio.